Hey guys, came out here to do three things. Talk about my 940, listen to the leaves fall, and answer a question I've been getting quite frequently. What's your opinion about the cold steel SRK? Now the first time I got that question, I did not own a cold steel SRK. It was before the first season of Alone. And I know that because I bet on the winner of Alone first season, and in a very friendly bet, and I won this knife. Brand new. I was very curious. I like cold steel stuff. I have the Bushman, the Finbear, the Kukri Machete, and the SRK. The Bushman is by far the most entertaining survival knife you can have. I mean, you can turn that thing into a spear, and provided there's nobody there, you can chuck it at threes and, I don't know, just don't throw it up in the air and watch it come down. But it's a very fun knife. It can hit rocks and glass, and it's gonna be fine. You can split wood with it with no problems. I mean, my large heavy Bowie broke, and I took the same piece of wood and I smashed it with the Bushman. Awesome knife. The machete, the Kukri machete, not the Magnum, regular one. Reground is a great wood processing tool. It has the weight, and you can baton it, you can chop with it. Awesome. And the Finbear, I kind of like it, the simplicity of it. I've used it not that much, but I do like it. That's the very inexpensive line from Cold Steel. Now the SRK, arguably, at least here, it's the expensive line. I mean, this one costs about $120 here, so it's not an inexpensive knife. It cost that much when I got this one. Thank you, Alan K, I think it was, who won Alone Season 1. Spoiler. And I was surprised, as with many knives, when you watch videos on YouTube and you think you're gonna like them and you think they're this and that, you get the knife, and then when you hold it in your hand for the first time, it's a bit different. Not what you imagine. And I put it in the sheath, and I said, wow, goes in really, really hard, and pulling it out, and you can see the wear on the handle from the sheath. It's not necessarily a bad thing. This blade is AUS8, and the handle is rubber. I don't know if they have a specific name for this rubber. Handle is squarish and very comfortable. This guard is soft. You know, you might break this or cut this off if you want to, but it does give you a good grip and a secure grip. If you want to stab this into something, you're not going to slip off the handle. Just boom, it's in there. And you can see this knife has been stabbed into a lot, has been doing a lot of stabbing of wood and a lot of wood processing. I started carrying this because I honestly liked this system, you know, when you don't have to take your belt off to put the sheath on, and you have these latches so it holds it tight to your belt. It doesn't jiggle around a lot, and then you can of course let it jiggle around if you're going to use it around camp, and just pull it out. After a while it becomes easier to get the knife out of the sheath and put it back in the sheath. And I started using it. I put on this Spartan John's pinky lanyard, patent pending, just to help me chop stuff, thin branches, walking sticks. As I come up the road and I see some dry sticks that I want to use for a fire, especially dogwood, very good for fire, I just chop them, and a pinky lanyard helps. I mean, this knife does have some weight to it, not the biggest, but, and you just, boom, right? Very cool. So it did the job okay. And then after I used it in that capacity of general utility camp knife, to help out with small stuff. I said, well, it's time for me to start testing it. And I batoned it. Light stuff as I start with. I do have the footage of that somewhere. And then it held up great. So I went towards heavier stuff, and it held up great. And then I said, well, okay, it's time for the big boy stuff. Some people are gonna say, well, you're not supposed to baton with a knife. That's why you have your hatchet. Then when you break your hatchet, they say, well, the hatchet's not for chopping. Those of you who watch my channel know what I'm talking about. But if you're gonna make a blade with a 1/4 of an inch, 6.4 millimeter thick stock, of course it's meant for batoning. What are you thinking? Of course it's meant for prying. I mean, if you just want a slicer, you're gonna make it 1.5 to 2.5 millimeters thick, and it's gonna be a hell of a slicer. Not this case. This is 6.4 millimeters thick, I think, and it has a steep edge angle. So this one's meant for destroying wood, penetrating a car door, and rescuing somebody, because it is called the survival and rescue knife from cold steel. So I said, let's handle the big boy stuff, and I batoned it using the pinky lanyard, Spartan John's pinky lanyard, patent pending. I held it like this, and I batoned the blade, and of course I batoned the handle. And then this happened. I don't know if you can hear it. Yep. That's the sound of the SRK. The handle loosened. I didn't like that one bit, because I had plans for this knife. You see, this wedge here and this fine tip is excellent. You can just stab into stuff, and it comes in handy. Now, the fact that it has a very steep edge angle, I figured using it for rougher jobs. You know, you go out having a barbecue and you want to cut something, and somebody needs to cut something, and they're going to cut on the grill, so they're going to ding up the blade. So you don't want to put a very fine blade, and you can give them this knife, and it's still going to split wood and do whatever you need to do, and then you just touch it up. So I said, maybe down the line I will reduce the edge angle, see how the AUS8 is, because AUS8 is not the best steel. However, the Kisljar Supreme Savage, now there's a good heat treatment for AUS8. That knife impressed me concerning the heat treatment for the AUS8. So when I started getting this, it was like, I do like the sheath and the system and everything, and the knife, just huge disappointment. I mean, I like cold steel, I do, and I've heard of problems, and I've seen people break these knives, literally, just break the handle off. Two guys, I think, and two brothers, Australia or New Zealand, they love their SRKs, and I just took this knife, I angrily put it into the sheath, and angrily closed these latches, and angrily threw it in a drawer. Forgot about it. And then time went by, and somebody else asked me, and I said, I don't like it. Here's what happened to me. I responded in a message, blah. And then for some reason I picked it up again, and I started working with it. And I went at the cabin, and I worked with it, and it's too steep of an edge angle and this and that. And then night came, and I said, you know what? Let's see if we can do some more damage, because there's no point in me keeping a knife that I don't trust. This is why I test knives. This is why I baton them, and in some cases I pry with them. I don't have stuff to pry that much, but I do have stuff to baton. So I turned on the camera and I started batoning the knife, splitting wood, and then, of course, the all-consuming, all-evil cross-grain baton. But this is a narrow blade. You're not going to break this cross-grain batoning, and it's a thick one too. And I didn't hit the handle that much anymore, and it was fine. So I said, you know what? This is decent. Now, would I buy the SRK? No. Do I consider it a crab knife? No. I consider it an adequate knife, sort of. A tactical knife. I can consider this a very good survival tool if I would modify the edge angle so that I could process wood. But even like this, it could process wood, it could carve a notch, it could defend you against an angry bear or very, very angry raccoon. So it can do what it's supposed to do. You can baton wood with this, which is very important for a survival knife, in my opinion. Because that's, I mean, if I don't know much about survival, but I imagine that if you're somewhere and you need to make a fire, you're probably not going to have all the twigs to start a fire. So, or it's going to rain and you're going to have to get to the core of the fire, or you need a very hot burning fire. And you know what? If you split a piece of wood and you have all those nice edges and the dry stuff within, it burns hotter and quicker and cleaner than dry branches. And you need to be able to chop with it because it's a big knife. That's why they made it 5 inches long, the blade, and 1/4 of an inch thick, you know, to give you all those options that you don't have with a I don't know, butcher's knife that has a 1.5 millimeter thick blade, which is a great slicer, and you wouldn't really baton that. I mean, you could, but you know where I'm getting. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't get it, mainly because of the handle. It's very comfortable if you intend to baton it, and if you baton it, you might hit the handle. Let's be real about it. You're not gonna baton sticks that are this thick, you know, like this. You're gonna baton something thicker. You know, you're gonna try and break this apart, and within that process, you might hit the handle. And if you break the handle, well, so I much rather baton something like this. Plus, if you misuse a cold steel knife, you void the warranty. Now, once again, I like to say that I do like cold steel. Nothing against them. They have really good clips, and they subscribe to my channel. But I would much rather have an SE with me than this. Now, an SE is far more expensive. And this is not a bad choice. But in my opinion, a survival knife should have a good grind to it. If you want to carve a piece of wood, this is, I would say, inadequate. Okay? This is not that tough of a wood. But, I mean, you can do it. You can. Okay? If you want to put a point on this stick, your best choice would be to use the Spartan John's lanyard, patent pending, and try to, I don't know, do the rough of your job like this, and then just clean it up, and voila, a point. Yes, you can do it, but this is for me more of a wood processing thing and a tactical knife. And would I feel ill-equipped if I had this in an extreme situation? No. Would I feel that there are knives that I would rather have? Maybe with a smaller blade like the SE4? Yes. Or a custom? Yes. Or, well, why not? The SE6? Yes. Because I have been testing this knife for months. And you can see by the coating on the tip is pretty in good shape, and the rest is worn down. And I intend to test this knife beyond what I will ever use it at. So in a real life situation, I would need to chop or baton maybe sticks that are this thick, maybe 4 or 5 inches across, I don't know. And I will, maybe, I will take this knife beyond that. I will cross grain baton it. I will hit it as hard as I can with a piece of wood, and if it breaks, I'll just send it back to SE and ask for my new SE6, which I will treat even worse. Because for me, if I'm going to rely on a tool, I want to know that it's not going to fail me in a real life situation when I'm going to try to break off, to split a stick that's 3 inches across, or to chop into something. I did chop into dogwood, very dry dogwood with this. Has a steeper edge angle, but it held up, and it's got a good bite to it. But these are two completely different companies and knives. This will not bite into stuff that well. You might want to regrind the blade. The tip is excellent, and if you are more of a just rescue kind of thing, situation guy, yeah, I think this'll do fine, because it has a steep edge angle. It will be able to take more, and the tip is very good for piercing stuff. So plus, like I said, the handle, very grippy, very safe with this guard. I mean, you can, like I said, stab this into something. My God, it's not going to slip out of your hand. Your hand is not going to slip on the blade. Now this, I don't know what you call this, a ricasso. It's not a choil. It's if you reduce the edge angle, make it a finer edge so you can use it for whittling, yes, it does kind of help give you control. Oh, hit the camera there, right? But right now I feel it moving in my hand. the handle with the guard. So, yeah, is it a bad knife? No, I don't think it's a bad knife. A bad knife is a knife that breaks, where you have blade failure beyond it being useful to you. So if a chunk of the blade breaks and you can't use it anymore, then, well, it's not a survival rescue knife anymore. But this one can be used. I have been using it, and concerning batoning with a knife and splitting wood with a knife, I think for beginners, disclaimer, don't do what that guy says. It's safer to split wood with a knife because it's more controlled. If you don't know how to use a hatchet, if you know how to use a hatchet or a full-size axe, yes, go ahead, do that. It's easier. But if you don't know how to use it, it's safer, because what can happen is you can hit your hand, ow, or you can break the blade, too bad. But you lose control of a hatchet or an axe, and just leg, arm, just disastrous. That's just my opinion. Don't have to be true, but that's the way I feel about things. So all in all, 18 minutes. Those are my opinions about the SRK. No, I wouldn't get one. I would look for something better. But if this is all you can afford, get a Mora. If this is all you can afford and you really want it, you really think it's cool, get it, and don't baton the handle. Baton the blade. Do stuff that's not so extreme. I have no idea how the cold steel warranty works, if they would actually replace it if I broke the handle off. I assume not. However, I would look for something better. I like cold steel. I'm a fan of their videos, but I'm an SE fan simply because I have a lot of SE knives, and I haven't managed to break one of them, and I do misuse them. And I have not have any problems with rust on them. This one is AUS8. To me, in a survival knife, that's a plus. But opinions may vary. I hope you enjoy the video. If I left something out, if I didn't mention something, if something you wanted to know, feel free to post your question in the comment section, and I might get to it in the near future. Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, I wish you all a great day.